I agree at 1,000%.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a big thing that is in the news for anyone who pays attention to military news and it even just mainstream news is recruiting numbers
Hmm.
are significantly appear to be a problem in every branch other than the Marine
Hmm.
Corps. I believe the Marine Corps was the only
Yeah.
one in the last cycle that met its recruiting goal number.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's no simple answer to why recruiting is down, but in your
Yeah.
professional opinion, why do you think the military is struggling so much to get new members, and
Hmm.
what could be done to turn it around?
That's a great question. Everything I'm about to say is, Rob Peters' opinion. I think that attracting this generation to meaningful purpose and selling the message that, military service is honorable, meaningful, and actually, is beneficial to the country. But in the end, as a result of being, doing service for the country in that order, those benefit to you. I think selling that story is has been challenging. And I think, I think the political environment does not help. I think people who say a bunch of shit, who are in elected office, who sit there and go, "Oh, the military's woke" and all this bullshit, it's just causing chaff and noise in the problem. I think the real thing is incumbent upon people who are in uniform right now to tell their story. I think we need to do a better job of outreach back to our communities and sell, our story. Every sailor, airman, marine, guardian, coast guardsman has a story. And I think it's important that we afford our young men and women who are doing great work today to go back and sell the story back home because I think it's clouded by a lot of chaff out on the interwebs. You know, that said, I'll neck down specifically to the submarine force. I don't know our recruiting numbers. I've been out now, and it's I'm not privy to those numbers. But I would say as a submarine force, we strive to maintain the standard. The standard's unnegotiable. So at the end of the day, we're still recruiting people of higher caliber and we want to retain people who, the default is you're high caliber. Well, that doesn't mean you're retainable. I years ago, this is like 2007, I was asked to speak to a group of civilian college students who were interested in joining the Navy nuclear propulsion program. And I asked them, hey, why are you all in this room? And they all looked at each other and they gave answers. And the answer really wasn't what I was looking for. I said, you're all in here because you're smart. However, I don't want to keep you in the Navy just because you're smart. I'm looking to retain people who can make decisions under pressure and win wars. Just remember, you're all being recruited because you're smart. I may not retain you because you're not capable of leading. So if you're not interested in taking the challenge of being a leader, then I don't want you. That doesn't make the recruiter happy, but at the end of the day, I'm in the fleet
Right.
and I'm XO of a submarine. I don't have time, nor do my chiefs, nor do my, enlisted sailors have the time to deal with substandard people. We need to, recruit people who have their shit together. And so, to me, that's important. So there's this tension I think it exists in recruiting. And again, I never did recruiting, thank goodness, because I'm probably not the guy you want. Because to me, you want good people, but at the same time, I recognize, there's this throughput that we have to maintain because it's an all volunteer force, and that's the price we paid as a nation. We that ship set sail after Vietnam. We decide as a nation we're going to end conscription, and we're going down this road. And so, since we've gone down this road, this is the ebb and flow challenge of modern day recruiting. And at the end of the day, I think our leadership needs to do a better job getting our troops out to communities more and selling the story. I truly believe this because I think we have to short circuit a lot of this chaff that's out on the interwebs. I got it. We have elected officials, we need them, but nobody on the elected official side is doing us a service popping in their opinions about this. I think it's incumbent upon military leadership and to do it.
So that's a very in-depth answer, and like I said, I don't have a clue why the numbers are down. It's not some,
Yeah.
but the one thing I've always just a thing I've noticed about the Marines because they did meet the recruiting goal is
Mhm.
when I'm watching a football game and the ads come on, like the recruiting
Yeah,
commercials come on, it's
yeah,
like a movie. It's like the Marines have incredible commercials. It's like a bunch of dudes
yeah,
running through a jungle shooting
yeah,
things. And I was
yeah,
like, that if I was 17 years old
yeah,
and I thought that was cool, I'd be like, that's awesome. Um,
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
I
Well,
don't.
yeah, the Marine Corps has got the recruiting game locked down. Their message, and the thing that I find, I highly respect the Marine Corps for doing, and no other service has been able to ever pull this off except for the Marine Corps, is they're unnegotiable in their standard. Their message is the same. Whether it's we're looking for a few good men back in the day, that message is still there. You want to join us, you're going to join an elite group. You're going to join a bunch of people that, we're not going to back down from our standard. Are you up to the challenge? Yes, no. And, that is their sales proposition. And they do it so masterfully. And so, I always used to laugh at people who worked with recruiting in the Navy. It's like, why aren't you guys taking notes from the Marines? Y'all aren't figuring this out. But also, I would argue in your individual jobs, because, your sailors end up going and talking to their relatives and families and friends back home about their working conditions. I think it's incumbent upon leaders on board aircraft carriers, aircraft squadrons, SEAL teams, submarines, whatever, to make sure that, good leadership carries a long way. It's not just in the workplace. It carries back home to your family, and it does affect recruiting and retention. So I would, commend the Marine Corps for their retention. I would say that has probably a part to do with good leadership.
I got two questions for you left. This has been an awesome interview. I feel like I've learned so much that I never would have had a clue about otherwise when it comes to submarines, leadership as a sub commander. When it comes to the future, when Rob Peters looks at the Navy in 10 years, 20 years, 3 decades from now, if you had to guess, what are a couple big steps and evolutions of the Navy will we see in the coming decades?
I see the Navy in the next, decade, 2 decades, going further from shore. I see that we're already in an era of autonomy. And you talk about drones, you see all kinds of videos and stuff on drones in Ukraine and stuff like that. Make no mistake that the drones can, it just happens those drones fly in the air. We have drones that fly in the water, and so does everybody else. I think we're going to see the action go further away from shore. And I think a lot of the work is going to be done autonomously. The other thing that's an X factor in all this is AI. Where are we going as a world with AI and military and decision making? How are we going to use and leverage AI to solve today's, the timeless problems? Where's the submarine? Where's the surface ship? Where's the bad guys, new thing or whatever? And I think having AI technology is, that's going to it's already a game changer. But I think whoever side gets to it first, to use AI the correct, in a better way to reduce the amount of time that human has to make a decision. Or you could even go as far as saying maybe AI, makes the decision. Ooh, that's a good one. I think Jack Carr just released a book in May that provides a hypothetical situation like that. I think it's what was it, Red something